There are moments in life when you feel something inside you that you cannot easily explain. It is the sense that you do not move through the world the same way most people do. You feel deeper. You think further. You understand more than you say. Yet at the same time, you often feel out of place, as if you are watching life from a quiet distance. Many people spend years trying to understand why they are different without realizing that their personality type holds the answer. If you are an INFJ, these experiences are not random. They are signs of how your mind and heart naturally work. INFJs are known as one of the rarest personality types, but rarity alone is not what makes them stand out. What truly sets them apart is the combination of depth, intuition, empathy, and inner vision that guides every part of their life. They move quietly, but they see clearly. They care deeply, but they protect their energy. They think in layers, not in simple lines. They understand people in ways that are hard to put into words. Even if they do not fully understand themselves yet, their behavior shows patterns that are unmistakable. From a young age, INFJs often feel different without knowing why. They try to fit in, but something inside them refuses to follow the surface-level path. They ask deeper questions. They notice things others do not. They sense when something is off, even if no one talks about it. They care about truth, meaning, and connection more than most. These traits can make them feel unusual, but with time, they become clear signs of who they really are. This video explores the unmistakable signs that you are an INFJ. These signs are not about being special or rare. They are about recognizing the natural qualities that shape your emotions, your relationships, and your place in the world. When you understand these signs, you begin to understand yourself better. You stop blaming yourself for being different, and you start realizing that this difference is part of your design. If these signs feel familiar as you listen, it may be because your mind has always worked this way. You may have felt these traits your entire life without having a name for them. Now you do. These signs show who you are at your core and help you understand why your experiences have always felt deeper and more complex than those around you. Sign number 1. You feel alone, even in a crowd. One of the strongest signs that you are an INFJ is the feeling of being alone even when you are surrounded by people. This does not mean you dislike others. In fact, INFJs often care deeply about the people around them. But there is a distance inside them that comes from seeing and feeling the world in a unique way. While others may enjoy the moment without thinking, INFJs often observe the situation quietly, sensing emotional currents, noticing unspoken dynamics, and feeling disconnected from the surface-level energy that most people thrive on. This feeling of being alone is not loneliness. It is a sense of being separate. You may stand in a room full of people, listening to conversations, and still feel like an outsider. You might be among friends, but feel like they do not fully understand your inner world. You might smile and participate, but inside, there is a quiet awareness that you perceive life differently from those around you. INFJs often feel this way from childhood. They may sit in classrooms, feeling like they are watching other children through a window. They may join group conversations, but feel like they are floating around the edges. They may have friends, but still feel a gap that they cannot easily explain. This gap exists because INFJs crave deep emotional connection, and superficial interaction leaves them feeling unseen. This internal distance can make social situations tiring. While others enjoy small talk or casual gatherings, INFJs feel drained by interactions that lack depth. They want to talk about meaning, purpose, fears, dreams, and truth. When conversations stay on the surface, the INFJ's mind drifts. Their heart feels empty. They begin to fade into the background because their inner world feels separate from what is happening around them. Feeling alone in a crowd is also tied to the INFJ's intuition. INFJs sense tension, hidden motives, emotional discomfort, or dishonesty that others do not notice. This creates an emotional layer beneath the social layer, and the INFJ experiences both at the same time. While others chat casually, the INFJ is feeling the full emotional climate of the room. This extra layer can make them withdraw emotionally, creating that sense of being alone even when surrounded. This trait becomes more noticeable as INFJs grow older. They learn that they connect deeply with very few people, but those few connections feel powerful and meaningful. They do not want many friends. They want real ones. They do not want attention. They want understanding. They do not want noise. They want truth. Because these things are rare, the INFJ often feels alone in spaces where others feel comfortable. Yet, despite the sense of distance, INFJs are not isolated people. They observe, listen, and understand more than anyone realizes. Their feeling of being alone is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of depth. It is a sign that they move through life with an awareness that is different from the crowd. And when they find someone who understands this depth, that connection becomes one of the most meaningful experiences in their life. Sign number 2. You are driven by a strong inner mission. Another unmistakable sign that you are an INFJ is the feeling that you are meant to do something important with your life. This mission does not always have a clear shape, especially when you are young, but you feel it inside you like a quiet pull. You may not know exactly what the mission is, but you know your life needs meaning. You need direction. You need purpose. You cannot simply exist without feeling like your actions matter in some deeper way. While many people focus on external goals, status, popularity, wealth, social approval, INFJs focus on internal purpose. They want to make a difference, help people grow, heal emotional wounds, create something meaningful, or bring light to difficult places. They are guided by values instead of trends. They want depth instead of attention. Even when they try to ignore their inner mission, it pulls them back every single time. This mission-driven mindset often shows up early in life. As children, INFJs imagine futures where they help people or change things for the better. As teenagers, they feel a strong desire to understand themselves and the world on a deeper level. As adults, they look for careers and relationships that align with their values. They cannot live a life that feels empty. They cannot follow a path that feels meaningless. They cannot pretend to be satisfied with things that lack emotional depth. This mission often makes INFJs selective with their energy. They do not want to waste time on things that go nowhere. They do not want to surround themselves with people who drain them. They do not want to settle for work that feels hollow. Instead, they look for purpose in everything they do. When something aligns with their mission, they feel alive. When something does not, they feel restless and disconnected. The INFJ's inner mission is also tied to their empathy and insight. They understand what people need, and they feel driven to help. They see problems that others ignore, and they feel responsible for addressing them. They have ideas about how to make life better for themselves and others. This sense of responsibility is not forced, it is natural. It feels like part of their identity. But this mission can also be challenging. INFJs often feel pressure to achieve something meaningful. They may doubt themselves or feel frustrated when they do not know their exact purpose. They may feel misunderstood because others do not share the same drive. They may feel torn between wanting to help everyone and needing to protect their own energy. This inner conflict is part of their experience, but it also proves how deeply they care. The INFJ's inner mission is not about recognition. It is not about attention. It is about answering the emotional and intuitive call inside them. This call shapes their decisions, their relationships, and their entire life path. It is one of the strongest signs that you are an INFJ. You are not just living, you are trying to live with meaning. Sign number 3. You prefer deep conversation over small talk. Another unmistakable sign you're an INFJ is your strong dislike for small talk and your natural preference for deep, meaningful conversation. For most people, small talk is a normal part of daily life. They enjoy casual conversations about weather, trends, or random topics. But for an INFJ, these conversations feel empty. They feel like background noise. They drain energy instead of creating connection. It's not that INFJs look down on small talk. They simply do not feel nourished by it. INFJs want conversations that matter. They want to talk about ideas, emotions, dreams, fears, experiences, personal growth, meaning, and truth. They want to explore what shapes people, what moves them, what hurts them, what inspires them, and what they hope for. They want to understand the heart behind the words. This desire for depth is part of their personality. Their mind naturally goes beneath the surface, searching for the story beneath every reaction and the meaning behind every decision. This preference becomes obvious early in life. As children, INFJs might ask questions their parents aren't ready to answer. As teenagers, they feel disconnected from conversations that stay shallow. As adults, they grow tired of social interactions that lack emotional depth. They crave authenticity, not empty exchanges. When a conversation turns genuine, the INFJ comes alive. Their energy grows. Their ideas flow. Their mind opens. They feel seen and connected. The problem is that deep conversations are not common in everyday life. Most people prefer simple interactions because they feel safer and easier. But for the INFJ, these interactions create distance instead of closeness. They often remain quiet in group settings because the conversation stays on the surface. Others may assume the INFJ is shy or introverted, but the truth is that the INFJ is waiting for something real to talk about. When INFJs meet someone who is willing to go deeper, everything changes. They open up slowly, but when they feel safe, they reveal thoughts and emotions most people hide. Their vulnerability builds powerful bonds. Their honesty inspires others to share more. Their insight brings clarity to the conversation. These connections become some of the most meaningful relationships in their life. This preference for depth also affects their dating life and friendships. INFJs struggle with people who avoid meaningful topics. They lose interest in relationships where conversation never goes past small talk. They feel disconnected from people who do not express their true feelings. Because of this, INFJs often connect with only a few people, but those few connections feel rich, strong, and lasting. Another reason INFJs prefer deep conversations is their ability to read emotional signals. When someone talks about something meaningful, the INFJ can sense their sincerity. They can feel the emotional truth behind the words. This creates trust. It makes the conversation feel alive. But when someone stays on the surface, the INFJ senses that there is no emotional depth to connect with, and they lose energy quickly. Deep conversations also serve another purpose for INFJs. They help them understand themselves. As they talk about meaningful topics, they reflect, explore, and discover parts of their inner world that they may not have noticed before. Talking deeply is not just about connection, it is also about self-understanding. This sign is one of the clearest indicators of an INFJ. You feel most alive when the conversation has meaning, and you feel most disconnected when it does not. Sign number 4. You sense hidden motives and feel others' emotions easily. Another unmistakable sign you're an INFJ is your ability to sense hidden motives, emotional shifts, and unspoken feelings long before anyone else notices. This intuition is not something you try to use. It simply exists in the background, guiding you through every interaction. People may say one thing, but the INFJ hears something underneath. They feel the mood, sense the tension, and pick up on emotional patterns without needing direct explanations. INFJs often understand people better than people understand themselves. They notice small details that others overlook: a change in tone, a quick glance, a hesitation, a shift in energy. These tiny signals tell the INFJ when something is wrong, when someone is hiding something, or when someone feels hurt or insecure. Even in calm situations, the INFJ can feel the emotional undercurrent of the room. This ability can be overwhelming at times. When someone is upset, the INFJ feels the heaviness. When someone is anxious, the INFJ absorbs some of the tension. When someone is hiding pain, the INFJ senses it, even if the person smiles. This emotional sensitivity makes the INFJ a comforting presence, but it also means they need more time alone to recover from emotional overload. One of the unique aspects of this intuition is that it helps INFJs detect dishonesty quickly. They can sense when someone isn't telling the full truth, when someone is manipulating, or when someone's actions don't match their words. This is not about paranoia. It is about being deeply attuned to emotional patterns. INFJs often know when something is off before they can fully explain why. They may not confront the issue immediately, but they begin watching more closely, trusting their internal warning system. This awareness also makes INFJs natural protectors. They sense when someone is being mistreated, left out, or emotionally hurt. They feel others' emotions so clearly that they step in to help, comfort, or support. Their empathy is not a surface-level reaction. It is a deep feeling that comes from understanding the emotional truth behind the situation. INFJs also form emotional connections through this intuitive ability. When they sense that someone is open, honest, and emotionally balanced, they relax. They feel safe. They begin to trust. They open up more. But when they sense that someone is emotionally unpredictable or insincere, they create distance without needing to explain why. Their intuition protects them from forming unhealthy relationships. This sign also shows up in how INFJs react to conflict. They can feel tension long before others realize a problem exists. They sense when someone is angry, disappointed, or hurt, even if that person tries to hide it. Their emotional awareness helps them prevent conflict or guide the conversation in a healthier direction. But it can also make them sensitive to environments that are emotionally unstable. Feeling others' emotions so strongly is one of the reasons INFJs seek peace. They cannot disconnect easily from the emotional atmosphere around them. They need calm environments to protect their well-being. This is not weakness, it is sensitivity, and it is a defining trait. This intuitive, empathic ability is one of the clearest signs of an INFJ. You know what people feel, even when they do not say a word, and you see motives that others miss entirely. Sign number 5. You have a rich, private inner world. Another unmistakable sign you're an INFJ is the richness of your inner world. Most people focus on the outside world, what to do next, where to go, who to talk to. But INFJs live deeply inside their mind and heart, exploring thoughts, feelings, images, and ideas that go far beyond the surface. This inner world is full of imagination, reflection, memory, and emotional depth. It is where the INFJ feels most at home. This inner world is private. INFJs rarely show all of it to others. They may share pieces of their thoughts or express some of their ideas, but the majority of their inner life stays hidden. It is not because they are secretive, it is because their inner world is complex, layered, and difficult to explain. Others often misunderstand or oversimplify their thoughts, so the INFJ chooses carefully who to share with. Inside their mind, INFJs explore meaning in everything. They replay conversations and analyze the emotional truth behind them. They imagine future possibilities, visualize scenarios, or think about how events connect. They revisit memories, not to dwell, but to understand how they shape their values and growth. Their inner world is constantly active, even during quiet moments. This private inner world also fuels the INFJ's creativity. Many INFJs express themselves through writing, art, storytelling, problem-solving, or imaginative thinking. They see connections others miss. They understand themes, symbolism, and emotional depth naturally. Their creativity is not always loud. It is meaningful, reflective, and full of emotion. Because their inner world is so rich, INFJs often need time alone to recharge. Solitude is not isolation for them, it is restoration. Being alone allows them to explore their thoughts, gain clarity, process emotions, and rebuild their energy. Without this time, they feel overwhelmed by the noise and demands of the external world. This inner world also plays a role in their relationships. When INFJs care about someone, that person becomes part of their inner world. They think about them, reflect on conversations, understand their emotional needs, and hold space for them in their mind. This creates deep emotional bonds, but it also means the INFJ is selective about who they let in. Their inner world is too personal to open to just anyone. This sign is one of the strongest indicators of an INFJ. You feel a whole universe inside you, rich with thoughts and emotions, and only a few people ever get to see it. Sign number 6. You set high standards and struggle with feeling understood. Another unmistakable sign you're an INFJ is your high standards, both for yourself and for the people you allow into your life, and the ongoing struggle of feeling misunderstood because of those standards. INFJs do not chase perfection, but they do expect authenticity, honesty, emotional awareness, and depth from the people around them. These expectations are not unreasonable, but they are uncommon, which naturally creates distance between the INFJ and most of the world. INFJs hold themselves to strong internal expectations. They want to act with integrity. They want to treat others fairly. They want to follow their values even when it is difficult. They think deeply before making decisions and try to understand how their actions affect themselves and others. They hold themselves accountable, and they expect the same level of sincerity from the people in their life. When others do not meet this level of authenticity, INFJs feel disconnected. These high standards often lead to disappointment. INFJs trust deeply once they let someone in, but they expect that trust to be respected. They expect emotional honesty instead of games. They expect a balanced give and take instead of constant effort on one side. They expect loyalty, not unpredictability. When someone breaks this trust, the INFJ feels it strongly. They may forgive, but they rarely forget, and once the bond weakens, it becomes difficult to repair. Feeling misunderstood is another part of this sign. INFJs often express themselves in a thoughtful, layered way, but many people do not understand the depth behind their words. Others may interpret their calm nature as indifference, their quiet reflection as sadness, or their emotional honesty as intensity. INFJs frequently feel that their ideas are too deep, their feelings too complex, or their insights too strong for people who prefer simple answers. This misinterpretation can make the INFJ feel invisible or misunderstood, even among people they care about. INFJs also struggle because they see the potential in people. They see who someone could become, not just who they are now. They hope others will grow, change, or improve. But when people do not live up to their potential, or when they continue harmful behaviors, the INFJ feels discouraged. They are not disappointed because of unrealistic expectations. They are disappointed because they truly believe in people, sometimes more than those people believe in themselves. These standards also affect friendships and relationships. INFJs choose their inner circle carefully. They do not want many people around them. They want the right ones. They connect with people who show emotional depth, sincerity, self-awareness, and kindness. When they cannot find these qualities, they remain distant. This distance can make others think the INFJ is hard to reach, but the truth is that the INFJ is waiting for someone who speaks the same emotional language. Another part of this sign is that INFJs often carry a sense of being too much or too different. They may tone themselves down to fit in, hide their deeper thoughts, or avoid sharing their true feelings to keep others comfortable. But even when they hide pieces of themselves, they still feel misunderstood. This comes from having a mind and heart that operate on a deeper level, something that is not easy for others to match. Despite these challenges, the INFJ's high standards come from a place of sincerity. They do not expect perfection, they expect realness. They want honest communication, emotional maturity, loyalty, and respect. They want relationships that help both people grow. They want conversations that open the heart. They want environments where depth is welcomed instead of rejected. This sign stands out strongly in INFJs. You expect a lot because you give a lot, and when others cannot meet you at that level, you feel misunderstood in ways you cannot easily explain. Being an INFJ is not about fitting into a rare category. It is about understanding why you move through life the way you do. It explains why you feel deeply even when others do not. It explains why you crave meaning instead of noise. It explains why surface-level interactions leave you tired. It explains why you connect with only a few people but care for them intensely. It explains why your thoughts and emotions feel like they have layers that others cannot see. The unmistakable signs of being an INFJ are not random traits. They are pieces of the same inner design: intuition, empathy, depth, values, creativity, and emotional awareness. These qualities shape your relationships, your identity, and your place in the world. When you understand them, you stop questioning why you are different and start accepting that your difference has purpose. Being an INFJ means carrying sensitivity with strength, insight with softness, vision with humility, and inner depth with outward calm. These qualities do not always make life easy, but they make your presence meaningful. You see people clearly. You feel truth deeply. You think in ways that others cannot. That is not something to hide. It is something to embrace. If these signs feel familiar, they are more than clues. They are reflections of who you already are.